something I often hear with people that I work with. They express a desire of wanting to be their authentic selves and wanting to be around people who are authentic, and talk about not wanting to be phony and not wanting to be politically correct and having to be like a robot. In today's episode, I want to talk about this whole concept of authenticity, because we talk a lot about authentic leadership and being authentic and being real and being transparent and all of those things. But I also want to caution us of falling into the authenticity trap. In today's episode, I want to talk about that. What I think we should be striving for instead of just this buzzword that we keep using of being our authentic selves. When we're saying we want to be authentic, what is it that we really mean? We want to be able to express what our emotions are. We want to be able to express what our beliefs are. We want to be able to say things without filters. We want to just say what's on our mind. If you really, really look at what the word authentic means from original source. Original source, in my view, is a place deep inside of ourselves where all humankind is the same. And yet, as we get social conditioning, as we grow, as we learn, as we're socialized, as we're indoctrinated into cultures, we start to get all these layers of beliefs and cultural norms and expectations and patterns of behavior that may or may not be so, quote, authentic. They are things that we've learned over time, and they all become part of us. So when we say we want to be our authentic self, what is that? I mean, how many people really know what that is? What I would like to do today is I'd like to reframe that a little bit. And I'd like to talk about, instead of it being the authentic self that is the goal, that perhaps it's the intentional self that is the goal. When we come to a place and we want to have a more powerful presence in the world and as a leader, that powerful presence comes from being able to choose my responses, not be had by them. And what we often associate with our authentic self are not really responses that we choose. Let me explain to you a little more what I mean by this by reading you a quote from one of my all-time favorite books. And it's by Viktor Frankl, and it's called Man's Search for Meaning. And you may have seen it, you may have read it. He was in a concentration camp, and he wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning about his experiences, as you can imagine, in the most unconscionable, horrific conditions that he both experienced and he saw other people experience. This is the quote that I think is so related to what I'm talking about today in this authenticity trap. And here's what he says. In between stimulus and response, there is a space. In this space lies our power to choose our response in any given situation. In that response lies our growth and our freedom. What I'd like you to think about is, how often are you in a place of choice, or are you in a place of reactivity and just automatic response? Because that space when I have an emotion, that space when I have a feeling, when I have a reaction, what we often constitute as authentic is the reaction. And what I believe is authentic, and what I think really impacts your presence and the power of your presence, is being able to stay in that space of choice first, is to pause, choose, and then react. And to me, that's what authenticity is. That's where our growth lies. And that's where real power presence resides. Thanks for watching. And always remember this. Every single moment, you have a choice in what you say, what you do, and how you make people feel. Pause and make those choices wisely and intentionally, because every single moment, those choices are who you become.